Hey traders, happy Monday. Chris Pulver here with the weekly outlook for all things stocks, Forex, and cryptos. It is the 21st of October. This is the week of the 21st to the 25th. Big weekend coming out of the UK. We had some contradicting letters from Boris Johnson, and it appears that Parliament will be sending him back to the drawing board if he is likely to get a deal done by October 31st. So we'll look at the currency strength chart and see what the pound has been doing. If you can imagine, it is all over the place. So we are seeing some pound strength this morning, most likely because it is looking more like a softer Brexit is going to happen on the 31st, but let's not count that before it happens. That's still 10 days away. We also have some news coming out of Canada. Looks like Canada's holding an election this week, and Trudeau's place is not exactly safe. So we'll see if that division or uncertainty drives any type of fluctuations in the Canadian dollar. We also have escalating news out of Turkey and Syria. There was a ceasefire agreed. It was a 5-day ceasefire, but I believe Turkey and Syria called it a pause. So I'm sure there's going to be additional news on that. That's more of the geopolitical front and geopolitical landscape. This week in earnings is a pretty big earnings week. We have Monday, we have Del Taco, Halliburton, and SAP. Tuesday, we have Chipotle, Snap, Procter & Gamble, Lockheed Martin, McDonald's. Wednesday, we have Tesla, Ford, PayPal, eBay, Microsoft, Caterpillar. Wow, Wednesday is a big day, loaded with some huge companies. Also, Zuckerberg from Facebook will be speaking to Congress about Libra, Project Libra, or the Facebook cryptocurrency plans. Thursday will be the ECB rate decision. This, if I'm not mistaken, will be the last press conference from our dear friend Mario Draghi. His tenure is officially up on October 31st. Also on the earnings front, Thursday, earnings from Amazon, Visa, and Comcast. And Friday, Anheuser-Busch and Verizon. So let's take a look at the currency strength chart. Again, I'll highlight this at the end. This is how you can find me out there on the World Wide Web with some social media. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Send me a message, send me a like, subscribe, get the video notifications. I post them on the regular. So let's get into the charts. So currency strength chart, as I said, the pound was scrambling around this weekend. I didn't notice any gaps, which that's fine because I would have been doing this weekly outlook earlier if we had some notable gaps. But I was listening to a lot of NPR this weekend, and they were chiming in on what Boris Johnson sent to Parliament. It seemed to be a little, he basically was complying with the law while at the same time saying that he totally disagrees with it. So it was essentially contradicting letters, and he's probably going to ask for another vote on Monday. And again, just continue politics, but look at the green line. This is the pound pairs. We've been watching this for the last several weeks now and started off weak, stayed weak, London open, and then explosive move to the upside as London session kicks off underway. So a lot of volatility once again on pound crosses. We have the New Zealand dollar starting to neutralize. We have the CAD starting to get a little bit firmer. The dollar's coming off the lows from last week, but we have made some really good gains. Here is one of my accounts running right now. Current positions that are running: Aussie yen up about 180 pips, Aussie dollar up about 144 pips, New Zealand dollar up about 134 pips, Euro Aussie, Euro New Zealand CAD respectively, all positive. And I might be taking some profit on a couple of these pairs. There is a chance that maybe today or later today, Aussie yen, I might look to book those profits. Aussie dollar is probably going to have a pullback here sooner than later. That's not a bad chunk of profit. I've been waiting for that one for the last 3-4 weeks, and it did have a nice little jump to the upside. It's one of my bigger positions as well, so I'll probably end up booking some profit on that one, at least some partial positions. New Zealand dollar, I think, has plenty of room to run, so I'll continue to run with that one, although the gains thus far are decent. Euro Aussie, Euro New Zealand, these are going to be continued choppy pairs. I do think there's more downside potential. I'll talk about that in the charts in just a little bit, but I like where we're at. I mean, 145 pips and 50 pips respectively. And, it could, 230 respectively pips. Dollar-wise is different because of the trade size. But we have the ECB on Thursday, and I would rather be clear to these positions and in profit, and then see if I can get some fresh scalps on Thursday with the Draghi press conference, and then New Zealand CAD. I'm going to let that one run as well. So positions are coming along pretty nicely, which is good. I'm just going to let maybe some of them run, but Aussie dollar has been stretched pretty far. Aussie yen's been a great run, almost to 200 pips. So let's get into those charts. Here is the Aussie yen, and I was looking at this one for two levels. One is the high. We had this swing low to high from the low in August all the way back up here to early September. We are at that same level. So I do think we can drift a little bit higher. There is a 127 extension around 75.76. Previous highs up in the zone. But like I said, a good entry on the right side of the trend line. I might just book those profits, see if I can get a pause or a pullback and go to the upside a little bit further or get another entry. Aussie dollar, let's take a closer look at this one. Aussie dollar, if I'm not mistaken, is missing some serious pivots. So let's zoom in on a 4-hour chart. Yes, we have 2 pivots in a row. The third one was tapped right there with early trading to start off the week. 1-hour chart, I would love to get a pullback into this zone. If we have from this low to this high, we'll probably get some type of pullback into these lows or these lows, maybe coming in back towards this second pivot around 6,800. I think it's probably safe for me to book some profit now and then look to get back in. I do want to stay long on this Aussie dollar. I think I'm going to do that right now. Rather than waiting, I'll just go ahead and book these profits. So 180 pips on the Aussie yen closing. That'll be done just a second. Aussie dollar, 143. I think we're going to get a pullback, and I will get back into this one. So I'm going to go ahead and bank profits on this one as well. New Zealand dollar still has room to run. Euro Aussie and Euro New Zealand. Let me take a quick look at those. Euro Aussie, higher time frame. All right, so we're starting to make a break out of this wedge. That's a good sign. I have 2 positions in on this one. There's a nice little pocket a little bit lower. Let me take a look. So previous low, nice little pocket around 6050. Here's probably what's going to happen. I think this is worth watching. I think we'll have a little pullback, maybe back to this high or the backside of this rising wedge trend line. I'll look for another sell trade. So I think what I'll do is just hang on to this one. I think this one is still looking to go to the downside. Previous lows, nice open space. 6,000 is a nice round number. I think I'm going to hang on to this one a little bit longer for Euro Aussie. You know, and that's fine. If I can't trade those pairs during the press conference on Thursday, that is fine. Euro New Zealand, on the other hand, I might just book some profits on this one. This one is a slow mover. Let me go ahead and make that a little bit smaller. This one's a pretty slow mover. We're back down towards some of this intermediate support. There's a lot of structure going on here. So I might just book some profits, take it right now, and see if it comes back up to test the high, the high, the high, the high again. I might sell it way up here around 76 or 77 or 76.50 and see if this just allows me to play a range. So Euro New Zealand, I will grab some profit. What I'd like to see here is, let's say that we end up pushing lower. If I don't get my re-entry, if I book these profits right now and I don't get a re-entry, then I will look for a fairly aggressive bear flag to continue to sell down towards 1.70. So I will continue to look for bearishness on both Euro Aussie and Euro New Zealand, but I think right now I will bank some profits to kick off the week. So that's up 112 pips. I'll go ahead and take some profit there. So Euro New Zealand, book some profits, and that's closed. And let me make an adjustment to this. This is a pending sell. I'm going to go ahead and move this down to 7665 and see if it wants to tap that high. So we have, let me use a straight line. If you connect all these highs right here, if we connect those highs, we had a little spike to the upside. I'll put another sell trade right there. If it does pop back up, I'm going to get a re-entry, but this will bank those pips for today. And if we get a breakdown, breaking lower, breaking these lows, any type of pullback, I'll look to sell and target 1.70 or lower. So let me take another look at that Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie, maybe it's worth protecting, especially since I have a larger trade size in. I just have a feeling, well, there's 2 things I can do. I'm going to go ahead and just take some profit. We'll probably get a pullback, and I'm going to re-enter. I think that's fine. So Euro Aussie, I'll book those profits. 118 pips, up some dollars. Let me go ahead and take some profit there. All right, so I've got some runners. I've got some other positions I'm working through that I like the positions overall. So Euro Aussie, Euro New Zealand have been booked. And where I'm looking to re-enter, so we're breaking this wedge, which is a great sign. If we have any pullback there, right there, or it's around 6,300. Let me use a crosshair tool. Looks like 6,300 to me. So previous high right around 6,309, previous high around 6,302. Yeah, 6,300 looks pretty good for a sell. And more than likely, this will be a pending sell around 63 and a pending sell even up here again around 64. If that's tapped, look to go lower. If this comes all the way back up here, let's see how it gets there. But we're looking to go lower now that we have broken out of this rising wedge. So Euro Aussie should be good to the downside. And on the flip side of that should be the Aussie Swiss. Aussie Swiss is heading higher, but come on, man. Swiss just keeps fighting the good fight and stays pretty neutral. So I like this direction. I have actually built up a pretty big position on Aussie Swiss, and I'm just sitting right around break even. Break even is around 67.50. Here's another look at that on one of my other accounts on MetaTrader right there. So built this up. I have a lot of positions in. I have a lot of positions that I'm stacking as well. You can see these are all, there's some buy stop orders in here that I'm looking to take this up towards this blue area around 7,000. If it comes back and pulls back in, I'm going to buy it off these lows and take it up to the same area. So I'm still looking long on that Aussie Swiss. So I will continue to play with positions on that one. Okay, let's take a look at the market watch list and dashboard and the calendar. I kind of digressed there talking about specific pairs and entries, but it's nice to book some profits early on a Monday. Futures, let's take a look. Market's been open a little bit. Futures is pretty flat. I'm sure we're going to need to see something out of the UK and possibly Brexit. Is it a reset? Is it looking like a softer Brexit? If so, that could be a good thing for Europe, which, by the way, is positive on the morning. U.S. market thus far is in the green. Not by much, but in the green. Gold, still below 1,500. Oil, lots of volatility, but still hanging out around the $53 to $54 area. We'll take a look at silver as well. Cryptos, anything happening on the crypto front? BTC. Could we get Facebook with a lift? You know, if Project Libra is going to get some additional support, or maybe Zuckerberg's not going to get drilled by Congress, there is a nice pocket right up here that I'm watching around 9,379. If we get a rally to the upside and it finds this pocket, I would like to think that is enough bullishness after this channel has been in play since the high in June that this actually might reignite some buyers. So I'll be watching that 9,400 zone or 9,379 and see if we can actually get a trendline break. Keep in mind, however, that this has been resistance right there. There was a push lower, a little bit of indecision. That does look like a bear flag. So I think it's kind of a toss-up trade on Zuckerberg this week. If it's good, then we should get some renewed buying interest in Bitcoin and cryptos in general. If it's bad, well, then we're going to get a full-on reset back down towards $4,000 and $3,000. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out this week. Let's take a look at the SPY really quickly. Go to the daily chart. All right, so SPY is still marginally higher, right around 299. Big hurdle on this is 300.50. Do we have enough optimism this week to drive it? Earnings will probably be a catalyst. If we have good earnings across the board, then that might be enough to push towards new highs. And you know, keep in mind that we have a couple other things. Not only do we have central bank support, we also have the the historical Santa Claus rally that's honestly not that far away. We are in Q4. And I would say without some chaotic turn of events, the path of least resistance and the more preferred direction right now is to maintain this bullishness. Now, as I mentioned, for the last probably 2-3 months in these weekly outlooks, we're still seeing the same thing. I think the writing is on the wall, but because a lot of investors, I should say retail investors, are on the sidelines, I still believe we're going to experience a low volume, low participation rally. And that would, that will entice enough people to feel like they missed out, get some money in here at the top, and then bigger shorts, bigger positions come in as we roll into the new year or roll into, a presidential election that is going to be insane in the U.S. in 2020. So that's the SPY. Let's get to other currency pairs. Aussie CAD. Again, a lot of this will be familiar for many of you that have been following me. Aussie CAD still looking long. 9,100 is target one on the right side of the trend line. What a great spot to get in off of these lows. 9,100 going up towards 9,250 to 9,300. If there's any uncertainty coming out of Canada with Prime Minister Trudeau, if his spot is up for grabs, then that could shake up the CAD a little bit. Oil, of course, is always a factor, but on the right side of the trend line, hopefully we'll see this heading up towards 92 to 9,300. I'll be looking to hold those positions long. Aussie Swiss, we reviewed this one briefly. I'm continuing to look long towards this box around 6,950 to 7,000. Aussie Yen, booking those profits today. Very happy that, it's a yen pair that I'm taking profit on because that doesn't happen very often because I usually don't trade the yens. But anyway, it was a nice trade, nice simple trend line break, nice push. Could it go higher? Should it go higher? Sure. If the stock market continues to rally, if earnings stay positive, then yes, the JPY will stay on course and we'll probably come back to this high. We'll probably go up to 75 and change. We'll probably come back to where this all started, back here at 7,750 to 7,800. So that does give me opportunity to participate. I do have some robots that are continuing to run north or just in participation mode, but they're in and they're bullish right now, and they're looking to stay as long as this cycle continues to run. Aussie New Zealand, I decided to book some profits last week on this one for about 70 pips or so. It was right around this indecision, around 1.0770. I still have positions back in around 10600 and lower. And if this comes back up for a check of the highs, 1.0830, if we come up to those highs and we see no agreement, meaning I want to see price making equal highs or even a slightly higher high, but I would look for divergence, 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 and most likely that will start heading lower. So that might entice me to be a seller in the short term, but otherwise long term, I'm still just looking to add positions and stay bullish in the long term. That is my Aussie New Zealand. Aussie dollar. This one's looking good. We do have a lot of pivots missed. We're at the right side. Well, actually, we're at this channel right now. And I would love to see a pullback, to be honest. I mean, if this is what I've mentioned before, which is a head and shoulders position, we might be hitting that neckline. So if this does have a pullback, I would like to find that right shoulder to buy and see if that's enough to get this thing pushing higher over the next maybe 1 to 2 months. But if we go up, we should be looking at 72 to 7,300 on this Aussie dollar to the upside. So back to this level. I mean, any of these highs are respectable, but I really like this particular spot right there for some profit protection. Anything higher than that is trailing profits and trailing stops, things like that. But 7,200 to 7,300 look pretty good. I'd like a pullback so I can add to it. I want to get back in on the Aussie dollar. CAD Swiss, still a lot of resistance around 76. Most likely, it doesn't seem to be that clear, but we might be setting up something like this, maybe a very tight topping pattern like a rising wedge perhaps, if it's going to maintain this choppiness. That's fine. 7,600 is a nice resistance zone if you're interested in selling. That does look pretty good to push back down. I have levels down here to buy from. I will see if we hit 76. That would be the one spot I consider a sell trade. CAD Yen, this one also continues to push north. We're up towards the 127. Anybody that's been in with me on the right side of this trend line, it's been looking pretty good. Protect some of those profits. This is a common level, the 127. We're right there. So previous high, 127, most likely that will be a wave. So 1, 2, 3, and we'll see if we get a pullback from there before we push up one more time. But I like long on the CAD Yen, and some profits to be made. This is a turn around 80.50 all the way up to almost 8,300. So that's a pretty good chunk of profit there if you're protecting. Swiss yen, man, what a disappointing currency pair because we just missed our entry here around 106.30. But it did what we needed it to do. It came back up. We're hitting the backside of this channel. Let me see something really quickly on this currency pair. We might have a couple of pivots in the short term, but that is about all I would be giving it. We have probably missed a ton of pivots. Have we not? Nope. Pivot. There's one that's missed. Hit, 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 hit. I'm a football coach. Hit, hit, hit. We have 1 weekly pivot, 2 weekly pivots, a couple of dailies that have missed. Backside of the trend line in the short term, there may be some interest. Again, I'm not taking this trade right now, but at the backside of the trend line, we're probably going to fall back into 109.50 or so. Maybe into these previous levels. I do see a nice little pocket right around 10900. So if anybody's interested in a possible retracement or correction, Swiss yen does look like it should be falling somewhere back to these lows. I'm a little reluctant to do anything that's against the yen as far as wanting to see yen strength. We might not see it. So I'm looking at some obvious pivots. It's safe haven versus safe haven. I'm still looking at some medium term Swiss franc weakness. But more importantly is the trade that was the upside. That's what we wanted. We wanted to buy this thing at the lows. It didn't come back to the flash crash low. Instead, it found a double bottom right here at 106.90. So I think the better trade was if we were buying it or participating, that was good. I did have one of my robots grab some nice chunks on the upside. I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to do anything to sell that. But I was interested to see how many pivots we've missed along the way because that was a pretty ridiculous rally. But I would say the safer trade is just to stay out, and we'll assess it once again. Euro Aussie, we started discussions with that one, book some profit. Look for a pullback towards 6,300. If we go to 63, that could be a nice rejection point. So even look for indecision candle and then go lower. That would look great if we end up forming, maybe we push a little bit lower, then we have a brief pullback. Same thing. It's still looking more downside. This level, all look good for profit. 6,000 is the round number that I'd like to get some profit towards. So I'm going to continue to look bearish on the Euro Aussie. Euro CAD, holding long in this one, and we should see this. I hope we see this either, sideways movement, which makes sense. This low to equal highs. We might pull all the way back into 4,600 again and then jump around and play the range. I still think there's room to the upside. This also makes sense if the CAD Swiss forms that topping pattern and starts to drop. The Euro CAD should rally. I'm looking for a run towards 5,000. So I'm currently long in a couple of small positions on Euro CAD, but looking to stay bullish towards 5,000. Euro Swiss, if I can type it correctly. We had a high last week of 1.1050. I'm still looking to hold out towards 1.1150. So still some movement to the upside that I'm expecting. I'm going to continue to hold these positions long to the upside. I will book some profits there, depending on if I get a pullback or not. I might end up doing this. If we get a pullback again and I can get another buy position, then I'll probably book most of my profits at 1150. If we start going up here this week and we don't have a pullback, then I might just close part of my positions and see if this wants to continue to run. We do have a monthly pivot around 1260. We have big levels all the way up towards 1400 or higher. I'll assess the Swiss franc as the overall strength and weakness of the Swiss franc basket. But still, good profit to be protecting around 1150. I would still, honestly, in the medium term, like to see 108 or 107.50 hit so we can fill that French election gap from 2017, and then I'll buy this thing and pretty much hold it forever to the upside. But we should get some profit towards the upside on Euro Swiss. Euro Pound, pretty much swearing off some pound pairs right now, mainly because of this. I'm just not going to flirt with all this craziness, mainly because I have good positions running. I want to nurture those profits, and pound margins are still very expensive. A lesson I've been doing this with a lot of my traders the last few weeks is just to show there's a huge difference in margin. So let's say there are traders out there that are trading mini lots, which would be 10,000 units. That's $1 a pip. Now on the euro dollar, it only requires $222 in margin. It's not that much. Now this is a 50 to 1 account, by the way. So if you're out there with a 500 to 1 or 1,000 to 1, that's a very different scenario. But 50 to 1 is still, it's decent. I don't feel like I play with a ton of leverage, but it's certainly better than Asia where it's 1 to 25. It's certainly better than parts of Europe now. It's 1 to 25. Australia cut back on leverage as well from 1 to 200 or 1 to 500 down to 1 to 25. So they've really tightened the reins on leverage. Same thing for the pound cross. This is the same mini lot position, pays $1 a pip. Now it's $649 a margin. So nearly 3 times more expensive to trade the pound crosses. So the moral of the story is, if this is the volatility, there's opportunity to trade, but you have to be willing to take some small losses if it's not going your way, or you have to trade extremely small. But for most traders, what I'm saying is, look, there's enough volatility that scalping systems will work. If you're trading the active zone between 2 a.m. where the Frankfurt Open is, the London Open at 3 a.m., all the way through 11 a.m. or that overlap of the New York and London session, the pound is likely going to move. So if you're looking for those opens and closes and those explosive pops in the market, that's good to trade. A 1 hour posture with a 1 minute chart, a 30-minute chart. Stay in the overall alignments, because right now the pound is favoring some additional strength. And as this is, just kind of a huge technical correction from everything that happened back in May of this year. But the closer we get to this deadline, I think the more wild this is going to become. And literally day in and day out, we could have something that's completely supportive of the pound and supportive of softer Brexit or no Brexit, or we can have something completely contradictory, or that's pro Boris Johnson and pro Brexit, and it's come hell or high water, they're going to leave. I don't know. UK politics is not my specialty, but I'm watching and I'm waiting. But I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to get overexposed or putting too much risk out there on these pound pairs. But they are moving. So for the active trader that's wanting some action, the pound is delivering on that. And I know a lot of traders that have been doing very, very well with it, to the point of, literally I'm talking about 500 pips a week, 1,000 plus pips a week on just scalping, because there is movement day to day. So it can be exciting. Just as I said, make sure you pay attention to margin and trade accordingly. So right now, everything has been, given back pretty quickly on the pound pairs. We will see what happens. From a technical side, this is a clear level of support right around 8,500. With how aggressive the pound moved on the way down. It wouldn't surprise me if we do create some structure here and then the pound actually gets weaker to balance out some of this recent movement. I do think that once the dust settles, we might just have this giant move down and then a giant move back up. And then we have kind of what I call the tuning fork, which is high volatility, high volatility, high volatility, high volatility. And it just kind of, finds ways to balance itself because it's going to be exhausted with all this crazy movement. So that might be one scenario that I'm looking for, but look left. There's a lot of support around 85. If we do form some lows, I do like the euro pound for a possible buy opportunity back towards 88. Let's say 88.50 to 8900. Certainly that inefficiency or that pocket right around 8900 looks pretty tasty to the upside, but I'll wait. I'll wait and see if this settles in. If this is a falling wedge, it looks great. Falling wedge would be an excellent pattern to watch for and then see if that breaks out and starts to head up. So I will be keeping an eye on the structure in my trading room this week on the euro pound and see if the other pound pairs follow suit just in the opposite direction. So euro yen. This one also took some nice profit from last week. We'll probably have a pullback there. There was our 127 extension around 121. So we did book some profit on that one last week. Looking to stay long. Euro New Zealand, we discussed. I'm going to book some profit and sell it again at 7665. I'm just putting it right back up towards these highs. But I think this structure can hold. Try to sell at the high, play the range, play the range, play the range, and see if it does work its way back down. I'd like to see this just kind of play out and then eventually go down. Euro dollar. I'm angry at myself in this currency pair because I missed the run and it went exactly where I expected it to go, just shy of 1200. But once we broke 1.1030, that's what I was looking for. Here is the daily chart. It was that daily candle right there. So we had indecision, but once we finally had the burst and break higher, that's confirmation right at 1.1070. And from there, that was a pretty easy 100 pips. So if you took the buy trade, ran up towards 100 pips, protect your profit. Great trade. I was in the middle of classes and webinars. I didn't have a chance to participate, which is totally my fault. But it did what we wanted it to do, which was get on the right side of the trend line, give us confirmation, and take the run. So the question now is it going to continue to drift a little bit higher towards 12 and change? Will this be where the bears come back in and push it back down? I don't know. I'm sure there's some anxious sellers up here towards these tops to sell it because there's very little risk up above that. Meanwhile, buyers are probably going to be protecting pretty quickly. If it comes back down to these lows, this is really where the buyers are going to sit off all these bargain levels. Right now, it's just kind of a toss-up. It can drift higher if the dollar stays weaker. But again, it was a good trade, good direction towards 1.1200. Pound pairs, keep a close eye on this. Look at all the indecision towards the top. If there's some structure up here like a double top or a trendline break or a wedge or something like that, I'd still look for selling. I'd still look for something technically to balance out that big move over the last couple of weeks, but it's going to be volatile. Be careful. Pound CAD, same thing. Straight up. I love the structure here. Previous lows, previous lows, previous lows, previous lows. Look at how you connect those lows and boom, right there to the pip before we started to pause. Just straight up from 62 to 1.70. That's an amazing movement. Yes, it happened fast, but I just love how the analysis here with just support and resistance levels and trend lines, it's amazing how price can still behave. And that's why I love the Forex market. That's why I love the technicals. Pound Swiss. Pound Swiss. All the levels that we wanted to see, there's your bull flag and channel. There's your break to the upside. 618, all these good levels are taken back. Protect your profits. Pound yen, same thing here. Maybe we have a full-on channel break. I wouldn't necessarily commit to that 100%. Watch this area carefully. We could have some indecision here. The pound yen might continue to run. Might. That's like catching water. That's probably my least favorite currency pair to trade. Pound New Zealand. Nice resistance here at 2.0480. Watch this one really carefully. I think this could offer a fantastic short with very little risk. If it holds these highs around 2.0450, we could come back very quickly all the way back down to these levels. This could also be a future price pattern. That's in the not too distant future. This resistance all the way back down to this support, maybe a crown pattern, maybe head and shoulders, or maybe just this. This low, it just kept dropping, right? You see how this just fell all the way down? We could do the exact same thing over here. So if we can identify some structure that we can sell from, keeping a stop area relatively tight, I think there's a lot of potential for us to make some money on a sell trade on the way down. Pound dollar, Targeting 3,000. Did we hit it? We're at 29.84. What's the high from today? Take a look and zoom in on this candle if I can. It won't let me. Looks like we're right there, just above 3,000. Looks like we got there. High on the day, 3011. Okay, so we did officially hit the 1.30 level. That is a psychological resistance level for the pound dollar. Also, we've had a big cycle from low to high. It wouldn't surprise me in the short term to see some indecision to push it back down. I'm not going to jump in front of that yet. I want to see some of this. I want to see some type of, shorter trend line break, maybe a break, pull back, sell the top, something like that. I love double tops and double bottoms. So those are really good entries to look for. And something as volatile as this can certainly retest them. New Zealand pairs, New Zealand keeps going our way. New Zealand CAD, let's go, man. This is forming, we still have some lower highs, but we have some higher lows. So I think that we're carving out some bottoms here. I'm still looking for 86 and 89 to the upside. So I'm staying long on New Zealand CAD. New Zealand Swiss, just get outside this yellow box. So I jokingly removed the yellow box last week saying that was the reason it wouldn't go higher, but it's not really the reason, obviously. So if we break higher, we should stay long. I am staying long on the New Zealand Swiss. New Zealand Yen. This one books a profit on, actually this is the one that my robot didn't do too well on. I was in profit on literally 6 of the 7 Japanese yen pairs. The New Zealand yen was just break even. So I just think in this area where we had some indecision, my robot had a little confusion. So it ended up closing out early and didn't get back in. So it's not a big deal. The other 6 pairs certainly made up for it with around 1,100 pips in total between, well, like I said, all the other yen pairs. So Aussie yen, CAD yen, Swiss yen, Euro yen, pound yen even. I closed out a little bit early for like 300 pips, and dollar yen. So I did pretty well in the yen pairs thanks to the robot, but New Zealand yen was a break even. I still think this is going to head higher. There's really good structure on this one for a channel. So it's really noisy right now, but we should be able to hold these levels, and we hold these lows, especially hold these lows around 67.70. Channel resistance at 72 and change. There's also a massive gap that I've mentioned in several videos now, 73.50. I think that we can get back there. New Zealand dollar. I'm going to continue to hold this one to the upside. See if we can form a pattern and maybe have that thrust higher. Left shoulder perhaps. Head to neckline. If we have any type of pullback, I'm looking for a right shoulder. And then we want to go higher. So I'm still going to stay long on the New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD. Looking like we're heading down towards 3,000. So this is a scalp to the downside towards 3,000. That's the make or break. If we break below 3,000, then there's a lot of room to the downside. If we hold 3,000, we're probably coming all the way back up to where we started at 33. So for the interested buyer that wants a bargain, if we bounce off 3,000, stop loss off some type of rejection candle or a smaller pattern on a smaller time frame, but that could be a really good trade back up towards 3,250 to 3,300 for very little risk. If we do break aggressively below 3,000, then any type of pullback I look to sell. Any type of pullback I look to sell. And we should, 3,000 has been a key support level, a key psychological level, and if that is broken, then that starts to bring up the larger structure. And honestly, that even, it's the weekly. Is it this bigger level? This wave to correction, this wave to correction, this wave. Is this what happens? All the way down towards 1.2? That would seem like no way the dollar CAD is going to trend like that. And it might not. But if we break below 3,000, I think it becomes more tradable. Oil's been difficult to trade. Dollar index has been difficult to trade, but we're starting to see some promising moves. So, 3,000, if it breaks, look, I'll take the trade. If it breaks, sell the rally, stop above. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it should push lower. If 3,000 holds, indecision, heads back up. Look for some tight stops, and it should head higher. It's a really good setup. It's just a stop loss is probably needed in case it's a fake out. But I think we've got some action here this week on the dollar CAD that I'll be paying attention to in my trading room. Dollar Swiss heading down. I hope that we do keep dropping. If I go to the 1 hour chart, there's something I'm pretty interested in right back towards 99.10. I don't want to hit it yet though. I want this level to still be available. I want this to be just a little pullback into here. Don't find that circle around 99.10. Go lower. If this goes lower, then I'll buy it at a much lower price, and I'll plan on a carry trade later on. Dollar yen. Dollar yen up towards the highs around 108.50. Pretty sideways because we've had a weaker yen and a weaker dollar. So obviously the yen has been the weakest of the bunch, but we're just off the highs around 108.87. We'll see what happens, but I would say we're probably going to keep drifting up. Here's again the 127 around 109.50. Dollar peso, anything exciting here? Heading down. I'm looking for a trend line break on the peso, but I'll be really patient on this pair as I always am. Watch the lows. If we have lows around 18.9, 18.8, that could be a buy low for this type of range. I still want to sell this one super high. I mean, it's amazing how good trades and great behavior have just turned into, I'm not going to say it's bad behavior because we've made some pips this year. I mean, we've probably made 3,000 or 4,000 pips on the peso this year. But that is, that's way less than what I expected, especially for a currency pair that I do watch pretty closely, that I do like to take trades on when it's good setups. So if we have a good setup there, I'll be looking for a chance to buy and see where I can take it. Maybe this high again, maybe this high again. Maybe we get surprised to the movement to the upside. I don't know. If oil ends up dropping significantly lower, then the dollar peso will probably go higher. But this one's been on the quiet front for quite some time. Dollar krone still stays bullish right now. Look to buy if you're interested in this exotic pair. It still remains bullish until it breaks this channel. So, if you're following along with the videos, it's got to break this channel before I'm even remotely interested in looking for sell trades. And dollar index. Dollar index, nice break into our structure zone. This does look, at this point in time, the only real support we have is just over here around 12,250. So this could be setting up the topping pattern on the dollar. This left structure, carving out this high with this kind of triple top and divergence. If we come back into these lows, that could be our neckline for head and shoulders. This might have a shallow pullback, fall lower, pull back again, and then drop. This could also be a crown pattern where it comes all the way down and takes out all these lows, and then anything that's a pullback, I would definitely look to be selling. So it is looking more and more promising for the dollar index to continue to drop, which means I want to look for Aussie dollar bulls, New Zealand dollar bulls, Euro dollar up at least towards 1,200 to 1,220. Pound dollar, I'm going to cross it off the list. Dollar Swiss hopefully continues lower, so we can either get some good opportunities now to short it, or we can certainly buy it at much better prices. But Aussie dollar, Euro dollar, New Zealand dollar will probably do very well. Dollar CAD is another one that I think can do very well. If the dollar stays weaker, dollar CAD does have some good activity to the downside. We will also know more next week. Unfortunately, not this week with a calendar, but next week the Fed has a rate decision. This week's calendar, not a ton. We do have the Euro, like I said, ECB press conference on Thursday. We have PMI numbers in the morning out of the Eurozone, and the ECB refinancing rate expected to stay the same, and ECB press conference at 8:30. Like I said, last press conference for Draghi. Daylight savings over the weekend, but look at next week's calendar. Oh, baby. That is a busy, busy calendar. We have Bank of Canada rate decision. We have Fed rate decision. We have coming into Brexit, October 31st, right? We have non-farm payroll on Friday, November 1st. Ugh, it's going to be crazy, but I love it because this is what the market needs. This is what the market needs for movement. This is the biggest excuse for volume and volatility. You can see that right here for October 30th, in fact, the forecast is to stay the same. You can see that the BOC is expected to stay the same. So that will be interesting to see if the Fed does in fact stay the same, even though they are buying treasuries right now and expanding the balance sheet. But are they going to cut rates now and make it a third cut for the year, or will they wait until December? We will find out. Okay, so that is that. Let's take a look at quickly silver and gold. Still in a corrective channel. Let's see if we get some structure on the right-hand side. There will be some silver interest if time allows it to break that channel. Otherwise, this could be the rejection, and we might come back in to reset. But let's see what the bulls do. If we can maintain this area and the dollar can drop a little bit, then silver and gold should both find some footing for some bulls to continue pushing higher. Gold right here, still in a corrective channel. And that's it. Oil, kind of the last hurrah. Intermediate levels, $51 support, $61 resistance. Lots of indecision going on. Let's see what happens. This is a pretty big drop. I'm wondering, is this trying to set up some structure with this high to low? Are we setting up some type of structure in here on oil? Possibly. So I'm going to keep watching this unfold, and maybe we have some structure there. Otherwise, if it bounces off the lows, right? We have tons of support. We've had support. If it drifts a little bit lower but bounces again, you buy low and you take profit midpoint and you take profit at the highs. But if it has this kind of upward look but really corrective, then more than likely oil setting up for a bigger move, at least back down to 51 or possibly a break of that $50 barrier. So that is it, traders. I'll come back into this bad boy. If you want to follow me out there, like I said, leave a like, leave a comment. I appreciate all the feedback. And if you want the notifications for videos like this, especially on YouTube, then click on that, subscribe, and get those notifications. Happy to book some profits on a Monday to kick things off, and looking forward to a good week with the current positions that we have running, and they're running for profits. We're going to keep riding those out and looking for fresh entries, of course, and some more pips to add to the totals. All right, traders. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.